Hi, Internet. Tea Earl Grey hot. Thank you. My name is Kiri Callaghan, and you're watching Kiriosity, the vlog where we get nerdy on geek culture. Today we're going UV curing resin deep into 3D printing. A few months back, as you may recall, I had the incredible honor of being able to visit the Kennedy Center at NASA, where I witnessed the CRS-4 mission of SpaceX launching their Dragon spacecraft to the International Space Station. Now, in the Dragon spacecraft, one of the many bits of cargo that was in there was the first 3D printer made to work in microgravity. And just last December, Earth basically sent a series of instructions to the International Space Station, and they were able to print a ratchet using that design. So we had Earth go like, hey, here's basically a file, and they're like, okay, and they printed it. Before this, they would have had to wait for another supply launch, assuming, if they lost even just a small tool, they would have had to wait months and halted work just because they were waiting for a stupid, insignificant little object. Now I know that this 3D printer is nowhere near as sophisticated as a Star Trek replicator, but the concept is similar. 3D printing is not actually a new space-age technology. It's kind of like how Avatar brought back 3D movies into popularity, but instead of being due to getting rid of the red and blue glasses, it's more due to the fact that equipment and material are now more affordable or consumer accessible. They're also not just a dumb gimmick to make people pay more at the movie theater. The first 3D object production apparatus was patented in 1984 by a Charles Hull. No, Hull! Charles Hull! Good grief. Thus, 3D printing production, I guess, actually started back in the mid-1980s, which kind of makes Charles Hull like the father of 3D printing. The prince of stereolithography. The criss-cross sectional 3D printing, or additive manufacturing, is a general term for the process of, you guessed it, creating a three-dimensional object from a source file that's describing a 3D object. Such files can be created or exported from various CAD or 3D modeling programs. So what's with all the finger quoting around 3D printing? Well, technically, the original patented process was referred to as stereolithography. Now, stereolithography has been used regularly to produce prototypes, models, patterns, and production parts. A 3D printed object is actually created one layer or a cross-section at a time. This is done by curing a photoreactive material with an ultraviolet laser. Really? More precisely, it's a vat of liquid ultraviolet curable photopolymer injected onto a moving platform inside a cage or a box. Step number 1. For each layer, a UV laser traces a cross-section of the part on the surface of the liquid resin. Exposure to the laser cures and solidifies the pattern traced on the resin. Number 2 is the section is then stacked or joined to the layer just below. Number 3 is after the pattern has been traced and cured, the platform descends by a distance equal to the thickness of the layer, which is less than 1/16 of the size of a mechanical pencil point. Really tiny. Now finally, step number 4, a resin-filled blade sweeps across the top of the cross-section, coating it with a sparkling new fresh coat of our UV resin. You rinse and repeat, and this is how an independent 3D object is completed. It's like Minecraft meets an advanced pottery class! Stereolithography, or SLA for short, is also known as optical fabrication, photosolidification, solid freeform fabrication, solid imaging, resin printing, and sometimes, but very rarely, supercalifragioptic freeform photocation.
But that's going a bit too far, don't you think?
Prototypes made with stereolithography are strong enough that they can be machined, and used as master patterns for injection molding, thermoforming, blow molding, and various other metal casting processes. It sounds great so far, right? Well, there's just one teeny tiny, totally insignificant drop. The cost of photocurable resin ranges from $80 to over $200 per liter, and the cost of equipment will range from about $100,000 to well over $500,000. Oy. Fortunately, renewed public interest in stereolithography, or 3D printing, has inspired the design of consumer model printers that are within the hobbyist's reach, some of which use alternative forms of processing. If you want to tumble a little further down the 3D printing rabbit hole, you should check out the methods of selective laser sintering and fused deposition modeling. 3D printing has not only been slowly changing the way things we do up in space, but medical science and even art. In fact, you should definitely check out shapeways.com and see what many of the artists and designers have already accomplished over there, because it's breathtaking. Now, if you've had a chance to play with 3D printing or have some theories about where this technology will take us, please leave your experiences and thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. For more food for thought, you should definitely check out Dale Kingsmill's mythology blog, where she tells the many adventures of people who didn't quite have the science yet to fill in the blanks and thus made up really cool stories instead. You can beam over to my personal channel for music, musings, and mayhem, and until next time, stay curious.